Imagine the beginning of everything. An infinite God, creating not only the universe but also the intricacies of the human heart. In the Garden of Eden, where every leaf seemed to pulse with divine life, a mystery was born, the creation of Eve. For centuries, we have heard the story of Adam's rib, but do we truly understand the deeper meaning of this narrative? Today, we are not here to repeat what you already know. We are here to delve deeper, to explore not just what is written, but what is concealed. Because, just as the waters of a river reflect the sky, the Bible reflects profound truths about who we are and how we were created. Think about this. Why did God choose a rib? Was it truly a rib? What if this word, translated as tsila in Hebrew, holds a meaning that transcends anatomy and reveals something far greater about the essence of relationships, equality, and unity? If you have ever felt that there is something deeper within the creation story, something that could transform the way you understand your life and purpose, prepare yourself. On this journey, we will uncover secrets that go beyond the surface and touch your heart. To grasp the true meaning behind the creation of Eve, we must journey back in time to the ancient world where the biblical accounts were written. In those days, culture was deeply rooted in symbolism and metaphor. Nothing was recorded by chance. Every word carried layers of meaning, like a map revealing not just facts but timeless teachings. In the book of Genesis, we read that God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep, and from his rib, he created Eve. The Hebrew word used here, tsila, is fascinating. In other biblical texts, this word does not translate to rib, but to side or structure. Consider this, a side. Not something inferior, not something superior, but a part that complements, balances, and sustains. Isn't that what we all long for? Someone to walk beside us, to help carry the weight of life, to complete us in ways we cannot achieve alone. The symbolism of the rib teaches us that God did not create Eve from a place of subjugation, but from a place of unity. In the cultural context of the time, where many societies regarded women as inferior, the biblical narrative already pointed to something revolutionary: equality. God did not take Eve from Adam's head so she might dominate him, nor from his feet so she might be trampled upon. He chose the side, a position of partnership. Now think about this. How often do we forget this message in our own relationships? How often do we strive to dominate or submit, when God calls us to be partners, side by side, building something greater together? This perspective begins to reshape the meaning of this story, doesn't it? But there is more. So much more. Let's now explore how this act of creation reflects the heart of God and our own purpose. Picture the scene. Adam rests, a deep sleep overtaking him. The Creator, with precision beyond human comprehension, begins the act of forming Eve. Not with words, as he did with the light or the heavens, but with an intentional gesture. He chooses Adam's side, the tsila, to shape a companion who would be a divine reflection of perfect balance, strength and tenderness, individuality and unity. In this act, we see God's character. He does not merely create, he instructs. The choice of the side is no accident. It carries a profound lesson about how we are meant to relate to one another. By taking a side from Adam, God is communicating that no person is complete in themselves. We are created to live in unity, to support one another, to co-build something eternal. Even more so, consider the word form. The Bible tells us that God formed Eve from Adam's rib. The Hebrew term used here, bana, means to build, to construct. It is as though God was sculpting a masterpiece, a delicate construction designed to fit perfectly alongside Adam. It's not just biology, it's poetry. Now, bring this into your own life. How often do we try to live as self-sufficient beings, denying our need for connection? How often do we forget that God created us to be sides for one another, pillars in a greater construction? The symbolism of the rib reminds us that the purpose of creating Eve was not merely physical but spiritual, to reflect the interdependent nature of love. And there's one more detail we must not overlook. When God creates Eve, he is not just forming an individual, he is establishing the first human relationship. Isn't that powerful? Before kings and kingdoms, before temples and laws, God instituted relationship. This reveals that human connection is not just important, it is foundational to our existence. Thus, the creation of Eve leads us to a clear conclusion. We are part of something greater. We are pieces of a divine puzzle, designed to find meaning and purpose in our connections. This brings us to a crucial question. If we understand this symbolism, how can it transform the way we live and love today? Now, let's bring this story into the present. Consider the challenges of modern relationships. How often do we encounter disconnection, pride, competition, or even a struggle for superiority? It seems we've forgotten the essence revealed in the creation of Eve, partnership. The divine creation teaches us that relationships are not about control or dependency, but about balance, mutual support, and shared growth. In the biblical account, Adam and Eve were not rivals but complements. They were created to support one another, to walk together as a team. This is where the symbolism of the rib or side becomes even more profound. God reminds us that the healthiest relationships are those built on mutual respect, where we acknowledge the value of the other and embrace our differences as strengths, not weaknesses. Yet, we live in a world where culture often teaches us the opposite. We are encouraged to forge our own paths, to be self-sufficient, to prove we don't need anyone. But does this truly make us happier? Are we ignoring the lesson of unity and interdependence that God has left us? Think about this. How many conflicts in our relationships stem from our inability to see the other as an equal partner? Eve was not created to be a shadow of Adam, nor was he meant to be the center of her existence. They were designed to reflect God's image together, as two parts of a greater whole. More importantly, the creation of Eve also challenges us to look inward. How are we living out our own relationships? Are we cultivating connections that build and strengthen? Or are we allowing pride and selfishness to pull us away from God's divine purpose? Understanding the symbolism of this narrative invites us to reevaluate our priorities. It's not just about marriages or romantic relationships, but about all human connections. In our friendships, work partnerships, or even in the simplest interactions, can we reflect God's plan for unity and love? As we delve deeper, we realize that this story is not just about the past. It is a living message, echoing in every interaction, in every choice we make to build or break relationships. And this prepares us for the conclusion. How can we use this wisdom to transform our lives today? At the end of this journey through the symbolism of Eve's creation, we arrive at a crucial point. The Bible, far more than a historical account or a set of rules, is an invitation to profound reflections on life, relationships, and our purpose. The story of Eve, created from Adam's side, is a timeless reminder that the essence of humanity is rooted in interdependence and love. God could have created Eve in countless ways. He could have formed her from the dust of the earth, as he did with Adam, or simply called her into existence with a word. But he chose something more symbolic, something that transcends the physical and connects us to the spiritual. By forming Eve from Adam's side, God taught that human relationships must be built on equality, respect, and partnership. And here lies a truth that touches each of us. This story is not just about the first couple. It's about you, about me, about how we live our lives and relate to others. It challenges us to let go of pride, selfishness, and excessive independence, and to embrace the idea that we were created to walk side by side with others, reflecting divine love in every interaction. As we close, imagine the impact this understanding could have on your life. If you choose to live by this wisdom, your relationships could become deeper, more meaningful, and aligned with the purpose God has planned. This isn't just an ancient story, it's a living lesson, ready to transform the way you see yourself and the world around you. So what will your next step be? Will you embrace this message and allow it to shape your life? After all, the symbolism of the rib is not merely a mystery. It is a map guiding us back to the essence of love and unity.